All right, good morning, Courtney and Shanee. Happy to be interviewing you guys. I've actually been looking at your content for months now, thinking, man, it'd be so cool to have these guys on. So happy that the stars finally aligned here.
Yeah, I'm happy too. And it's early Monday morning, and you have our full attention.
There we go. And you have my full attention because my kids are generally asleep for at least another hour here.
Aw,
Once they
how
wake
cute
up,
is
though, all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, I know.
All right, so first, I think I'd just like to have you guys kind of explain your backstory a little bit. Explain briefly the business you're in, but then also how you guys came to be working together and came to start that business.
Well, I'll let Courtney start that because it started with her messaging me on LinkedIn in November of 2018. So,
Yeah. So we'll start at the beginning. So the beginning for me and like my journey in entrepreneurship was in 2013. I mean, excuse me, 2016. And I had a child. His name is Darrell. And one of the things that occurred was we found out that he had liver disease at 10 weeks old. So there's a lot of things that happened, and I had to be home or I had to take him to various doctor's appointments, and I was a social worker at that time. And when all of this happened, I was not able to complete my job to the optimal kind of output that it normally had. So
mhm.
I lost my job February 9th of 2017. And a lot of things happened. I talk about it normally. I had postpartum depression. I lost myself, meaning I love to work. This is something that I love to do, and I love to use my brain. And, just honestly being at home and, just not having direction. Like I knew I was a mother and that is fulfilling enough, but I needed something else. So I started a billing company, and I started actually billing for a Suboxone clinic, and I ran the whole clinic for $500 a month. And that is true. I had no experience. I had none of that, but I had to prove myself, right? So as long as I could pay my car payment was my goal, I was doing okay. So fast forward to 2018, and I saw Shanee on LinkedIn. And the thing about LinkedIn was I did not do video. I did a lot of things wrong, so we'll talk about that. And I saw a girl on here, and I'm like, she is doing video and she is killing it right now. Like, what is going on here? So I messaged her, and it was pretty funny because I think I'm a funny person. So I'm messaging her and I'm
Yeah,
telling
she is funny. She is funny.
and then we started talking, and we have so many things that are in common, and I'll have her talk about those commonalities later. But she has a child, she lost her job, there were so many things. And what was super interesting was she's marketing, right? And I'm billing, and for healthcare companies. So I'm going to lead now. I'm going to pass the baton to you, Shanee, to start,
Mhm.
and then it'll go from there.
Okay, so taking it back, so this was in November of 2018 that Courtney messaged me, but in July of 2018 is when I really started like my entrepreneur journey. I took the leap. I just left my full-time employer after, my daughter was in the hospital, and then I just didn't want the pressure of like having to go to work, and she wasn't in the hospital for something severe. She had like influenza or something, but she had to be hospitalized for like 14 days and like get a spinal tap. Like she was really sick. So my employer was pressuring me to go back to work, and I was like, okay, like this is for me. It was just over. You know what I mean? And I made a decision in the hospital to just not return. And then what I did was I replaced my full-time income within a month just doing healthcare copywriting for like freelance clients. And in the beginning I would go to like ProBlogger, just like little websites, and then this girl told me, hey, you should make a LinkedIn account. So like by August, September, I had a LinkedIn account, but I really had no idea what I was doing. Like I was just kind of like reading and watching.
Hmm.
Then in November, I posted late November, mid-November, I posted my first video, and like I posted my first, second, third video like one after the other, like one on each day, and they all did really well. And I was like, okay, because the first one after it did well, I was like, maybe it's a coincidence, maybe people are just supportive. But like the third, fourth, and fifth one, they kept doing really well, and they actually kept doing better. And I was like, okay, well, this is crazy because my sound quality was terrible. Like I looked like, I didn't look like a lot of the women at the time on LinkedIn in the sense that they were like really prepped for their videos, and I was not. Like if I was at the gym, I looked like a mess at the gym. If I was at home, you could see my kid behind me. I looked different. So I was like, okay, so what's going on? And then what I did, the main thing was that I started asking people for feedback. I was like, hey, like, why are you watching this video? Why are you liking it? And they're like, oh, it's just what you're saying, like the message. And I was like, okay. So what I realized, that's when I realized, and what I tell people when they start, like, your videos don't have to be perfect when you start. Like you don't have to have the best sound. You don't have to have the best camera. All you have to do is like tell your story, and like I said, allow people to see themselves in you through what you've overcome and things like that. And I just kept making videos, and maybe like 2 weeks in, but I was really consistent again. Like, so a lot of people start, they may not get engagement they want, they never post another video, or maybe they do it for a week and then quit. I was doing, from the second I started a video, like a video a day for at least 90 days. And some videos did much better than others, but I just continued because I realized that like a lot of people started reaching out to me, and so obviously some of that was converting into business. So then when Courtney reached out to me, it was just kind of like, she was like real, because a lot of the people at the time on LinkedIn, they had already begun reaching out to me to maybe just, get like, I would say like free consulting or like whatever, you know what I mean? But with her, it was like she also had a baby the same age, and she was also like, even though she's with her fiance, he works full time, so she's basically taking care of a child while growing a business at home by herself. So I resonated with that a lot, and then we just started chatting, and what we realized is that like when she was doing her insurance credentialing, all of them would ask, hey, do you know any marketing after? Because they would need patients to fill the facilities. And she would be like, no, I don't. And so she started to refer people to me. And then after maybe like 4 or 5 weeks of that, I was like, okay, well, this doesn't make sense, because you keep referring so many people to me. Why don't we just become a one-stop shop? Because obviously this doesn't exist for them, and obviously what they're looking for is like everything in one, convenience. So we just ran with it. No business plan. We had a vision. It was kind of maybe reckless, but it worked out.
It's reckless.
Yeah, that's crazy. So how long had you known each other at the point where you went into business together?
Maybe like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And that was another thing. People were like, oh, you guys are fucking
That's
crazy
right.
to go into business together. Like, you barely know this person, like, blah, blah, blah. But like, my gut feeling, it felt right. Like, I believe in the right people, meeting the right people at the right time, in the right place. And for me, like, the worst that was going to happen is like, oh, it wasn't going to work out. The best that was going to happen was that we were going to build something significant. So I had nothing to lose.
Right. And I did fly down. I was able to meet her. It was the same as on the phone, because some people, obviously we're not being catfished, right? We're real people.
Right, right.
And we vibe on a personal and professional level. We have a crazy work ethic. I just also need to also say that as well. Like, our business is now a year and like 4 months.
Yeah.
We work every day. Like, that's not a joke. Seriously. We do not take breaks. I know that sounds crazy, but unfortunately, this
Courtney's so funny.
to build the business, like it's sacrifice, right? You got to keep going. Yes, we spend time with our children and our family, but trust me, every day an email is sent and
Right. No, and the reason she brings this up is because, like, in the beginning, people thought we were, like, playing around. Like, it was like, oh, kind of two moms, they think they own a business. But, like, by 6 months in, when people really started to see, okay, we were traveling, we were leveling up, we were doing videos with clients at all of our healthcare facilities, like, not only that, but we were retaining our clients, like, our biggest clients. Then they're like, okay, well, maybe this is serious. Then we started adding people to our team. And then, like, a lot of people, instead of, like, validating that as hard work, we're like, oh, y'all are lucky.
Right. This was not luck.
Yeah, for real.
Okay? Like,
All
none of
right.
luck. But
So here's something I'm curious about. I'd love to hear
yeah.
an answer from each of you on this, and hopefully it comes across clearly. When you got started with your own businesses independently, and even when you joined up together, did it feel to you like you had always known you were entrepreneurs and business owners at heart, and this was just the right thing for you, and you were finally becoming who you were meant to be? Or did it feel more like, what the heck am I doing? This isn't me. I'm not an entrepreneur. I'm not a business owner. Who am I kidding, right? How
Mhm.
did that feel for each of you?
For me, it felt like the first one. Now, that doesn't negate the fact that, yeah, there were some days where I was, like, scared shitless,
That's right.
Um, and especially for me, there was no, like, second provider for Liv. So, like, if I didn't make shit happen, everything was on me. You know what I mean? And that's extremely frightening. And that's why people tend to go towards the illusory security of a steady paycheck.
Right.
But as frightening as it was, one of the things that we really did early on was, like, we started learning from people that were, like, multi millionaires, billionaires, even, that we had access to because they had become our clients. So at the same time, some of our clients also evolved as our mentors.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's a main reason why, as we started generating more income, I still have not changed my car. Like, no, like, because, like, you're on the phone with somebody who was a millionaire for years driving a Toyota Camry. But, like, you see why, because within 8 years, like, now, like, basically the sky's the limit. So we also were humble enough to, like, take the advice of, like, positive people in our ear, and smart enough to kind of decipher, like, my family could have been telling me one thing, but, like, my mom's not a multimillionaire.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, like, even though I love her and I respected her opinion, when it came to money and budgeting and business, I would only take advice from people that I know were running serious companies. And I think that that's a huge thing when you start. People take advice from their family. Well, your family makes $50,000 a year.
Right.
So why are you taking their advice? Like, not to negate their value, but you've got to take advice from experts. You know what I mean? And whatever you're trying to build.
So for me, yes, I knew this is what I was to do. So it's not funny, but I'll be completely real on your show. I failed at every job I've ever had. Now, that doesn't mean I was, like, fired and blah, blah, blah. I was never happy. I'm going to be honest, I'm not a morning person. Yes.
Yeah, she's not. I'm surprised. We're on here at 9:30.
But, like, it still has not changed. I am 40, so it does not change. My mom told me it did. But what I'm saying is, I wanted to have certain freedoms. I worked at a call center at one time, and I had to tell them when I needed to use the restroom. You know what I mean? Like, why?
Oh my goodness.
Like, I just cannot. I don't follow rules. I follow the law, okay? But I don't follow like, that's just too much for me. It's crazy. And I guess I kind of fly by, I don't know, my own kind of aura or whatever. But so I knew this is what I had to do. When I was fired because I was fired because my kid was not well, I was like, I'm done with this. This makes no sense. I understand that people have bottom lines, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to show them who I am. And that's why I work so hard. That's why I work as hard as I can now. But I always knew I was not supposed to be in a 9-to-5 job. I know that some people can. My fiance does well at that. That is awesome. But I can't. So is there still scary parts, like Shanee said? Yes, there is. Because if you think about it, an entrepreneur does not know if their money is coming. We have to convince people to pay us. If you have a job, you just show up, even if you're kind of sick. Oh, okay. But you'll still get that paycheck in a way, right?
Yeah.
Or you have time. We don't have any of that. And we're moms, basically we're single moms in many ways. So it's still stressful. It's still scary, but I know that I am supposed to be where I am today.
You mentioned that a lot of people, I guess it took them a long time to take you seriously, right?
Oh, yeah.
Did you find that their lack of faith in you and their, view of you, did it shake your confidence at all in how you viewed yourself, or no?
No, that motivated me even more.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm the type of person, like, when those people doubted me, like, yeah, of course it hurts. Like, I mean, it hurt. I'm human, but that just like motivated me even more to like prove to myself more than anything that like, I could do this. And, once people started to really see those changes, I didn't say anything. Courtney didn't say anything. People were just not stupid.
Right.
The people that doubted us the most are now like the people that like want to work for us. It's crazy, but it's true. And that's just life. I mean, it is what it is, but they doubted the wrong people. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a fairly tactical question I have for you, Shanee, because I know a lot of people struggle with this. You said when you first got started using video, you were recording a video a day for like 90 days.
Mm-hmm.
How did you come up with what the heck to say a video
That's a good
90 days in
question.
a row?
That's a good question. And one of the things that I'll say is like if you're really hyper aware of your life and of like people's lives around you, like you'll never run out of content. So like my content is just based on real life experience, it's based on whatever I experienced that day, how I could tailor it to like be of value and of service to other people.
Well, for me, I don't do as much video as Shanee. So again, what I do is just talk about things that have happened to me as well. I mean, you can get content from your clients, content as well from, just even your family and friends. So that's kind of what I try to post as well, is real experiences.
Cool. And do you have any sort of like system or methodology on your and Courtney use to like track topics and plan out your content in advance? Anything more organized like that, or no?
Absolutely not.
Cool.
All
All
I need
right
to
then.
do a video and then I do it.
So, Shanee, you said that you got started with video content, kind of near the end of 2018.
Mm-hmm.
What prompted you to even post a video if you hadn't been doing that already?
I kept seeing video become more prominent on LinkedIn, so I'd been on maybe like 3 months, kind of just reading, watching, and it was like at the time where video was becoming very popular on the platform, and a lot of people's videos were post your first video. So I was like, okay, like one day I was just at Starbucks and I was like, okay, fuck it, I'm just gonna like post my first video, and I did, and then it's been a wrap since then.
Yeah. How comfortable did you feel being on camera when you first got started?
I mean, it's weird for everybody at first, right? And especially like, doing videos in public at first was weird, like doing a video at the gym or doing a video at Starbucks. Like people are looking at you and like, But for me now, I could shoot a video anywhere, and it just becomes like second nature. It's like, okay, um, people get used to it also that are around you. But I mean, listen, for me, it just like was evident that I was helping people also. So I just kept doing it because people kept like DMing me like, oh, your video helped my day. Like, so it wasn't just for business. It was also to help people, which is why I also stayed, consistent with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Courtney, I've seen video content from you as well. When did you start posting videos?
Probably I would say December, around like December.
Mhm.
It
Okay.
took me a while. I'm trying to think of why. I want everything to be perfect. Like hair, my makeup, like that's how I want it to be, but that's not real life, right? Real life is, me with a headband on, with my
Yeah.
on, with some lip gloss. Like that's what it is. And I'm not working with a full face of makeup. I'm billing, right? So I wanted to bring I try to bring, just like Shanee, some realism to my videos. I want people to understand that I'm a real person. We listen to music, okay? We have fun. We listen to trap music, okay? And we just have a good time with it. And that's just something that I want to convey. Have a good time with whatever you're doing because everyone's not built for entrepreneurship. This is a little scary. you know so if
Yeah.
you're not okay with being uncomfortable on a daily basis, because you never should be comfortable, then
Mhm.
you need to think about exactly what you want to do and how you want to do it for your comfortability, I would say.
Right.
What were for each of you, what were some of the things that you did? What were some of the things that you said? Maybe even what are some of, self-talk you practiced that helped you get more comfortable being on camera and kind of work through that initial discomfort?
Um, for me, it was that if I didn't show up, let's say like if I changed one life with each video, if I didn't show up, no matter what I looked like, no matter how I felt, then I was being selfish. That's really the way I put it in my mind and how I still do today. Like if a video can change one life and I don't post it just because, oh, it's not the right lighting or it's not this, then that's selfish.
Right.
If it could help people and I reserve it for myself, and then that's selfish. So it became, and that's really the thing. Like when you start in entrepreneurship, I really feel like it begins on you, right? Like you want to make money, you want to build your brand, which like that term is so overused. You want to provide value, you want to do this, you want the spotlight on you. But as you really mature in the process, you realize how little it is about you and how it flips. And like the more you serve others, the more you do for others, the more you show up for others online, in person, blah, 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 then the more business that you generate and the more you grow and the more you learn and all of that. So, but that's that flip in the beginning, you think it's about you, but it's not. So
Right.
my answer would be it became less about me and more about others.
And that was the whole model for this anyway. Like, right? I told you about the health problems that our children did have, and that's a did because it is not anymore. They are both
Right.
healthy. So I always try to make sure people understand that we did
Right.
through, but I need to show up for the parent that is having a rough time, for the mother that is having postpartum depression, for people that are looking for our content just for some positivity during the day. That's
Mm-hmm.
what we show up for. That's what we try to give so that they understand that we are with them, and we might not know you, but we've never, both of us has also never met a stranger.
Yeah, that's cool. I've heard that theme come up a lot of times when doing video content of taking the focus off yourself and onto those you share.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I
that,
mean, And that's what, and I'm going to be real honest because I'm real honest with people, and people never like when I say this, but they're always like, if I've been posting content for like 6 months and it doesn't get any engagement, like, but I've been posting the best content. And one of the things that I did was like, I can't determine the value of my own content, right? So I can't say this post is amazing if it gets one like. Because again, I'm not on the other side. That's like Picasso saying my painting is so amazing without having the whole feedback of the world to back it up. So I never determined the value of my post based on my opinion. I always got the feedback of the people that were watching, and I looked at numbers. And people were like, oh, how did you grow this? Well, like if a post did really well, like analytically, the numbers, the engagement, everything, and I didn't like it, like I still have to say, okay, that's an extremely valuable post for people. They need that, they want that, blah, 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 and I would get the feedback. I followed the numbers. I didn't follow my ego or my opinion or any of that. So if you're a content creator and you're not getting the engagement that you want, then your audience is not finding your content as valuable as you think it may be. Again, it's not about you. It's not about your opinion. People either find your content valuable or they don't. So switch it up. And that's one of the things that I've continuously done is switched it up and followed the numbers.
Right.
Cool. All right. One thing I'm curious about that you guys could certainly speak to better than I could. Do you feel like there's any challenges that are either unique to or even just experienced more strongly by women of color when it comes to putting themselves out there online, creating video content, being more visible, stuff of that nature?
Go, Courtney.
Gosh, I would say, well, let's start with the following. Right now I have 30,000 followers and I obviously follow people. What I noticed, and we don't really focus on this per se, but there weren't that many people that I could identify as like, of color who were really doing an amazing job on LinkedIn. I'm not saying there isn't, and maybe I haven't found all of them. But what I'm saying is I didn't really see a lot of people that looked like me that possibly like they weren't already like on TV, right? Or they already didn't have, like just a regular person. The other thing that I didn't hear was people speaking Spanish. There's a huge Spanish community, right? Out in this world. And we'll talk about that. You can do that, Shanee, because you are the Latina. But I wanted people, period, to relate to me. I wanted all people to relate to me. And I felt like a lot of times that discussion didn't really take place because people are afraid. So I'm glad that you asked the question, but I will tell you one thing, that wouldn't have stopped me, even if I was the only one, because I want to empower everybody to be who they are and embrace who they are. And I promise you, you'll still do well.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think there's an overall lack of women of color making video content out there on LinkedIn?
Well, let's go to what we see on TV. There's Real Housewives, their hair, makeup, everything is done. I am in Hotlanta, okay? Like a bum if I go out in the streets right now. You know what I mean? I am not fully, I think it's also perfection. I think it's what does beauty look like, right? I think sometimes we have a problem with really trying to figure out what does beauty look like, and beauty looks like all of us because we were all made, right? And we're all here. So I take it more as like a holistic approach instead of, generalizations.
Shanee, your thoughts on the topic?
It's kind of like what Courtney said. I think that especially Latinas too, Latina and Black women, they have been, in my culture, it's like you need to, you need to look good, you need to do this. Like my grandma would be mortified with some of the videos that I look like a whole mess. Like, you know what I mean? They don't really understand that it's not like how you look, it's like what you're saying. So maybe that fear. But it's also like I don't think they also understand the platform as much as, let's say, Facebook or Instagram. So that may be like another reason why they shy away from, creating video on LinkedIn. For me, the first video that went viral, I actually was speaking Spanish. So I introduced myself in Spanish. It got like, I think like 500,000 views and stuff like that. And then that just opened my eyes to like the Spanish market on LinkedIn, which they're growing so much, like in Mexico, Latin America, and Spain. Mm-hmm. And, for me, I was creating content again for most other people. Like, yeah, I was bringing in business, but I was doing it to help other people, whether they were men, whether they were women, whether they were black, white, I don't care. So I was just being myself and just hoping that has helped people to do the same. And we know that it has. Like, we know so many people who started creating content because they saw us creating content. But it really comes down to like just having the courage to share your story. And again, everybody is imperfect. Everyone's been through adversity. And a lot of people in this day and age, they try to hide behind this like illusory perfection. And what they're doing is they're harming themselves, because look at somebody like Oprah. Oprah is really like the main person who, a woman of color who got on stage and for like 25 years was #1, and she shared her story. And her story was not an easy one to share. So, what people need to realize is like a mom that loses their child in America or Latin America feels the same type of pain, a person that loses their job in Mexico or Canada feels the same type of anguish and same type of instability. So whatever you've been through, somebody else in your city or across the world has experienced that same type of emotion. And people are going to be unable to connect with you if you are unable to reveal that part of yourself. So that's a huge thing.
Cool. Perfect. I guess as a closing question, I'd like to hear an answer from each of you. Somewhere out there, there's someone listening to this content, right? Mm-hmm. And they themselves have felt the urge, the pull to put themselves out there on video, to create more video content, to grow their brand, grow their exposure. Maybe it's someone who's feeling the pull to start their own business, who hasn't been able to do that. What kind of advice or encouragement would you give to someone in that situation?
I would say just shoot your first video, introduce yourself, and post. And, post consistently for 90 to 120 days, because now more than ever, especially with this coronavirus quarantine, I mean, we have several people in the healthcare industry that maybe were hesitant to build their brand online, that relied on more like grassroots marketing, knocking on doors and going to meet people. Well, now they're panicking, because now they're coming to us and being like, we need help, because they have no idea how to reach their target market. So if you are an entrepreneur, or if you're even thinking of doing anything in business, like, this quarantine should really teach you that whatever you're doing, you need to have a community online.
I would definitely say one of the things for me, again, and I'll stress this as much as I can, there are going to be people that do not agree with what you are doing. And you have to be able to quiet that, get quiet enough for you to hear, what do you want to do? We cannot work or do anything in life for other people, right? We have to do it for ourselves. So that manifests also into what Shanee just said. We have to get out there. There's no other way. You're not knocking on doors, right? This is the only way. Right now, this is the option that we,
Yeah.
and we also, every time something happens, and it's happened to us, let's say that things go wrong. Danae and I also always make sure that we learn from what we did. One could have been something that we did wrong, right? We didn't have enough experience, so we learned from that. Or two, it just wasn't a good match. So again, learn from everything that you're doing, but you have to get out there because this is going to be the way of life for a little bit. So we have to embrace it.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, both of you, for your time this morning.
You're
Definitely enjoyed this
welcome.
chat. I'm sure there's a lot of people who, after hearing this, are going to want to connect with you. So what's the best way for them to do that?
They can connect with us on LinkedIn, and we also just we're launching a YouTube channel, Med Snake Media, and we're also launching our own podcast. Next week, we're going to be interviewing like healthcare, people that are making a difference in healthcare. So that's it.
Cool. All right. Thanks so much. I enjoyed the chat.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for having us.